Hey, welcome into another fun-spirited edition of Feldco Football Recap Live with the great Olin Kreutz, the great Tommy Waddle. I'm David Kaplan. We have got a jam-packed show with player of the game and play of the game and drive of the game, but let's get right into it, gentlemen. Bears got a much-needed win. It's our Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric game breakdown. Olin, I'm starting with you this week. 24-18. Bears got a victory, something they had to have. And I texted with you earlier with Tevin Jenkins going down. It seemed like the offensive line stepped up and did a better job in the second half. Do you concur?
They did play well in the second half, especially on those two drives. They ran the ball well. The coming out drive, and they went to an I formation. We talked about last week, who would they put at fullback? And they put Cole Kmet at fullback and went to some concepts that I think their run game coordinator is comfortable with. And it looked like they were all comfortable with those concepts, ran the ball well. We texted back and forth, Cap. I think by watching film, I think I mentioned it last week, the O-line looks like they have some injuries. I wondered if Tevin maybe just has multiple injuries after his rib got hit and he dropped to the ground and rolled around. I didn't know what was going on there, but that did happen. But the offensive line did. They did play well. I thought that Swift – it's funny, Tom, I was going to ask you this.
Yeah.
Some players, they say you want to get a running back lathered up. I wonder if Swift is one of these guys, he gets lathered up through the pass game. You know, he got that screen, and they got a few check downs. And it seemed like it got him going a little bit. And then he started – there was one play, I don't know if you guys remember the first half, he bounced out to the right. And you can see Caleb Williams gesture on film like, get downhill. Like he did a few of those bounces, but in the second half, he started sticking it in there a little more. The O-line started moving the Rams D-line off the ball. And like you're saying, Cap, with a little different concepts, a little more getting the big guys rolling downhill. We talked about they'd be a little more comfortable at home. And if you get them going downhill a little more, maybe they can get comfortable. It's a little easier for them to do.
Yeah, I with regard to DeAndre Swift, first of all, I tip my cap to him. I mean, last week, I know I was critical of what I saw on tape. He had 114 combined yards in 3 games. And in this game alone, he had 165 yards receiving and rushing it. And to your point, Olin, I think he just is a player, from my humble opinion or my perspective, is he's just more comfortable in space. Like certain guys like the kid that runs the ball for the Rams, that kid, like
Kyren Williams.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's at home inside the interior of an offensive line or inside the front seven of a defense. And I just think that DeAndre feels better and more comfortable out in space. But I give him a lot of credit. I give a lot of credit, as you guys were talking to the entire offense for making the necessary adjustments. I can't imagine that when Shane Waldron came here, he ever thought he was basically going to be putting a backup guard in the backfield, or he was going to be using a tight end as a fullback. Like, that's just not the style that he runs. But based on, adjustments that were necessary to be made for them to get the running game going, those necessary adjustments were made. And you saw it. What was it? 28 carries for 131 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. So they did what was necessary to get the W. I'm still looking for more improvement as the season goes on offensively, but look, they did what they had to do to get a W, and I did see improvement.
Olin, what did you think about Caleb's pre-snap routine? I saw you tweeting today, and you were talking about him pointing things out. Was that impressive to you? Is that unusual for a rookie, unusual for a Bears quarterback to see what he was doing at the line of scrimmage?
Unusual for a rookie to be that involved in a lot of things. I even saw there was the play where he motioned to the sideline diamond, and they put the diamond formation to the field. So, like, he asked for the play, and he wanted to go to DJ Moore one-on-one on the left side of the field, and, just miscommunication. But I'm sure, as Tom will tell you, it takes a while to get on the same page. But, yes, he's trying to do a lot of work, Cap. And honestly, there's a saying that there's what winning looks like and there's what losing looks like. And that's what winning looks like. That's what quarterbacks do, who win a lot of games in the NFL. They control everything at the line of scrimmage, right? They control protection. They control run or pass. They'll even make points on runs by points, I mean you change the linebacker. Say me and the guard are working to a linebacker. He'll change what linebacker we're going to, and to give us the advantage on an angle on a run. And the fact that he's doing that, and I'm probably hoping a little bit that he was sliding the line that way to give Braxton help on verse, who he was really struggling with his bull rush all game. And when you send a line to the guy over the receiver in the slot, now the left guard can help the left tackle, right? If you know no one's coming, you can switch to protection and slide everybody out that way, and you put the left guard prior to help Braxton. So hoping that's what it was, but just the fact that he's involved. Coleman Shelton pointed 51 as the mic. They called it the mic. That's the guy the line's working to. Caleb came up and said, no, slide out there. I'm going to put the protection to the back of my head so I don't have to look that way. I know I'm protected. I'll take care of this guy, and I'll give Braxton a little help. So, yes, I am excited to see things like that from a young quarterback, just that involved in offense. And I think he's trying to use his cadence like Rodgers does, right? He's trying to roll his cadence, go on two sometimes. And I think that the guys, honestly, the older guys who haven't been around that, they got to get used to it.
I'd say this to add on to that as well. When you do that, you ask your rookie quarterback to do all the things that Olin talked about. It may get a little bumpy. Like they're asking him to do more, which means they trust him, which means that they're willing to work through some of the mistakes that may occur. I don't know what's happening in other towns with young quarterbacks, but my guess is those guys are getting a little bit more help and asked to do less. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that it allows me to be a little bit more relaxed with what my expectations are, because they're allowing him to kind of run things in a manner in which I don't think Olin, I mean, you tell me that they would normally let a rookie quarterback have this much control over what's happening play to play.
No, they wouldn't, Cap and Tom, but a quarterback has to want that responsibility, because it's a big responsibility. And that literally means you have to know everyone's job on the field. And we're, like offensive linemen, like we talk about, you're usually a team within a team, right? And you can be better than the sum of your parts, and you got to work together, and you got to dance together. When all these analogies everybody uses, it's because you have to know where your helps are. You have to know who's helping you on every play. You have to know whether you're getting help inside or outside. You got to take the proper set so that help can actually help you. It's like spacing on a route. It has to be perfect, right? And if it's not, it's off. And for him to try to understand those things, and if he does get to that point, that's what the great ones do. The Tom Brady's, the Drew Brees, the Kurt Warners, those guys, they play the game like that.
So I have a question for both of you guys. Tommy, was there ever a position you went, man, I'd like to just take one snap there? Because I know Olin was jealous of Doug Kramer getting to line up at fullback. Is that right, O?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was that jealous. That's what the backup center does. But yes, I'd love to like get in the backfoot at one point, but the starting center doesn't move to the fullback position.
No,
I never wished for anyone to get hurt. Never, especially my teammates. But I was the emergency quarterback my last 2 years.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah. And Olin, I used to I would run scout team quite a bit. Like if we were a quarterback down because of injury in scout team, I would run it. And at that point, I think Wani had enough of me anyway, and I really wasn't contributing in a huge fashion. So I would help out the team however I could. So it's so funny. Like Tony Wise, love Tony. Tony was in charge of when it was time for us to give the starting defense a look. Tony had he had the folder that had the plays that they needed us to run. This was old school for the looks, giving the starting defense the look that the this weekend's opponent was going to give. So I remember I had a buddy, Eric Wright, one of our wide receivers, and I'm an emergency quarterback, and it calls for like post dig. And I said, hey, run a post, but then fake the post and go to the corner. So I drop back, and Eric would run the post, and then he'd take it to the corner, and I drop back, and there's a void, and I just drop it right on a dime on him. He was like, touchdown. And defense is screaming, run the plays that are on the card. Run the plays that are on the card. And I just jumped, and I looked at him. I said, well, what if you got to make an adjustment in the game? What if the receiver makes an adjustment? So like, I was a pain in the ass at that point in my career. So I was doing some of that shit to just irritate people. But no, to answer your question, Cap, I always wanted to take a snap as a quarterback in the league. It probably would have been an unmitigated disaster, but I thought I was hot shit running the scout team quarterback. Back in
It would have been awesome.
It would have.
It would have been awesome.
It would have.
I was just doing that tonight at Carmel, talking trash to the defense. I was just doing that tonight at the high school field, running cards. You know, I don't mean to go off track here, but Tom, when's the last time you were at a big time college practice, or do you know that they have the film up now that shows the play immediately after they do it?
Yeah, I haven't been. It's been so long, Olin, that I haven't.
It's crazy, man.
The advantage.
So, like, say you're running like 7-on-7. As soon as the play's done, you can look up at this huge screen, and the play's on the screen as soon as you're done.
Wow, that's
so
crazy. Now.
Tommy, Friday night, my wife and I and her boss, the CEO of Lou Malnati's, and his wife, we went to see Carmel Catholic play, where Olin coaches, because their punter is the son of someone my wife works with up at Malnati's. I talked to OG before the game. And then my wife
got a field pass. They gave you a field pass.
I was down there. I just walked down there, but we sat up in the stands. But my wife was scope locked on Olin coaching, and they ended up blowing this team out. But she's like, "Look at him." I go, "What?" She's like, "They're up like 28 points, and look how locked in he is with those kids over there. Like, as soon as they scored, he goes to the TV monitor."
Listen, when the twos go in high school, somebody could get hurt. You better be locked in.
My wife was so impressed.
You better be a part of the game when the twos get in, because half of those guys, they don't know which direction they're going.
Listen,
it was super impressive.
He's a teacher.
He's a teacher. Yeah, it was super, super cool. Hey, it's time for Caleb Williams Winging It, brought to you by our great partners at Hooters, where they have the best wings. And we will be live at Hooters next week, the 8th at O'Hare. Hooters at O'Hare. It's right outside the airport, right on Higgins Road. Tommy will be there, and Alex Brown's going to be in for the OG because he's got football practice. But Caleb Williams, 17 of 23 for $157, a touchdown, no turnovers. He ran for 12 more yards. So a good day. What did you guys think of Caleb's performance in comparison to the other three games? I know he didn't throw for 363 like he did the week prior, but I thought it was his best game when I watched the all 22. What about you guys with your trained eye?
You know what? I thought he played a really controlled game. And I think one of the biggest things that you said, Cap, is 0 turnovers. And I think it played a huge role in them actually beating the Rams, because if you watch the film, the Rams did some really interesting things on offense to make plays. And defensively, they play hard. They're not great, but they play hard. I thought the difference in the game was the fact that the Rams got bogged down in the red zone, and the fact that the Bears were able to take care of the football and win the turnover battle. But I thought Caleb played well. I thought he played, he did a lot of nice things, dumping the ball down, taking what the defense was giving him. I think when I watched the film, I sent you some video, Cap, about, and not to be overly critical, but to point out plays that were there for Caleb to make down the field. And I think at this particular time, especially after what has transpired the first 3 weeks, you remember last week I said I was hoping they were going to scale some stuff back and keep it really simple. And I think that instead of trying to take some aggressive shots downfield, he basically chose to dump the ball off at times where he was taking more risks before, which is fine. I think just as time goes on, he will learn when to take that check down and when to actually push the ball downfield. And it will come as a result of what he sees. Like, I think as quarterbacks get a little bit more advanced, they'll hit the check down sooner rather than later when they see what route combination is matched up against the defense that unfolds. And they quickly recognize that this route combo doesn't work against that defense. They'll hold it a little bit, even though the flat is open, when they realize that their route combo is going to work against the defense they're facing. So I showed you a couple examples on film where I thought that Caleb, if he was a little bit more patient, would have actually pushed the ball downfield to roam on a couple situations. But with that said, that's me kind of nitpicking on a rookie quarterback. I was very was very happy with how he played. He played clean, and I think he made progress. And I think some of the things that I just mentioned will start to happen as time goes on as well.
OG, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think through 4 weeks of the season here, he's kind of on pace. He looks like a rookie quarterback when I turn the film on. It looks like he still has a ton of talent, and you see throws like he threw to Cole Kmet or DJ Moore on the 4.8 white linebacker. Runs a 4.8 40, in case anybody was wondering. Keenan Allen, the second play of the game.
I ran a 4.8 42.
Yeah, but you were savvy, right? You were savvy, though. Listen, the second play of the game, Keenan Allen on the little sticks route there, it comes out incredibly late, right? It just looks like he's waiting to see guys open still yet, which a lot of young guys do. And he is managing and been incredibly safe with the ball. And I think that's a lot of that is Coach Eberflus's effect of what he preaches every day at Hallis Hall and to Caleb. But I do like the improvement I see from him. I do think when you watch him, you think, man, he makes some throws. He's got a hell of an arm. There's a reason he went number 1 in the draft. His footwork's off a little bit sometimes. He doesn't step up in the pocket. Even on a touchdown throw, he probably could have stepped up and made it a lot easier on himself just hanging back there. His O-line is struggling, right? There is pressure. They got to get used to, we talked about last week, everyone's just going to bull rush them back in the pocket because of Caleb's height. I think Mark Sanchez talked about that while he was doing the game on TV. And he talked about how everyone's rushing Caleb a little differently. Cap, you can't not like what you see. You like that they're 2-2. You have to mention that the Rams defense is terrible, right?
Yes.
They give up a ton of yards, and we didn't do that great against a terrible defense yardage-wise, even points-wise. 7 of those points was Montez Sweat on a sack, right? And it still took us a while. It took we thought Keenan Allen would make a huge difference, and he did, right? Pass interference to him on the end zone. He was an outlet. He was a good big receiver blocking in there, a little better than DeAndre Carter in the run game. It's another reason the run game was working. So when you just watch Caleb Williams in general, Cap, still looks like a really young quarterback who has a lot to learn, but is trying to learn and is taking little steps every game at playing the quarterback position.
That leads us to my favorite pop right there in the world, Dr. Pepper, the Dr. Pepper play of the game. And for me, it was Caleb to DJ Moore. It was in the late third quarter, a 9-yard TD strike. And I thought, guys, that it was a freaking dime, because when you go back and watch the behind the quarterback view of the touchdown throw, he's got like no space to fit that thing in there. And he did. And DJ made a really good catch on a fastball and got his feet down. But boy, oh boy, did he fit that one into a really tight window.
I thought the most impressive part of the throw was ridiculously impressive, but I thought his processing was really good on that play, because he looks left and he doesn't like what he sees. And instead of panicking, he calmly looks to the right and obviously checks to see that his wide receiver is being covered by a linebacker who is under no circumstances going to turn around and play the ball with his face back to the quarterback. So he threw a beautiful ball, and most importantly, put it in a spot that gave his receiver a chance. And that's something that is, it sounds simple, but, there was other examples earlier in the game where he didn't do that. But a beautiful throw, beautiful read. But I was most impressed by how he processed how the play unfolded.
OG?
Yeah, I mean, that's best case scenario, right? I mean, for me, it's kind of like I'm wondering why he even starts to the left.
Yeah.
When DJ Moore is 1-on-1 with Roseboom, right? And yeah, Cat, he fitted in over an undrafted free agent white linebacker who runs a 4.8, right? I just, it's a great throw. I just don't want to overdo I don't know why you're not. You should see DJ Moore 1-on-1 with that linebacker from the beginning, right? Yeah. So those are the little things you're waiting on. That throw should have been immediate. It almost wasn't there because he started to his left, but I don't know what the progression is. So that may have been what he was told to do. And I tell you what, the one thing that really comes off on film, Tom, I wonder if you agree with this, Cap. He's very coachable. You can tell. Yeah. He's doing what they're trying to ask him to do. And that's not what we heard about him a lot coming out of USC.
You know what, Olin, it's so funny you mentioned that. And I think that he is so kind of trying not to play hero ball because it was a criticism of him. I can point out several moments as well where he's running a boot or he's trying to get to the outside. And instead of trying to rely on his athletic ability and make a play, it's almost like he's conditioning himself to not to try to do too much and will throw the ball away. When I know he can beat that guy to get to the edge and actually create a throw where he is at times most accurate is when he's on the run. It's almost like he's neutered himself in some ways. And I think that's just the process he's going through. Like, he came into the NFL from USC, and I think the first thing he was probably told is, look, you can't play that way here because everybody's faster, bigger, and stronger. And I think he's almost kind of like over-adjusted.
Corrected, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I think over the course of time, he'll get back to relying on his creativity a little bit more.
And like you guys know, I am an absolute O-line apologist. I say that all the time, right? I will find reasons on film. It's not the O-line's fault, right? I will search for hours. And speaking of the O-line, Cap, we'll give a shout out to the Carmel Catholic O-linemen who are watching this and texting me that I called them the twos. So I give them a shout out while they're watching this.
Calling you out.
Yeah. They're calling me out for saying the twos. When the twos go in, like, you got to be watching or somebody might get hurt. But I think the overcorrection, Tom, is the O-line hasn't been playing well, man. And like for me to say that, like, I have to see bad film because I will find you a reason why it's not the O-line's fault, right? And it was a little better this week, but not in pass pro, right? And that remember in the 2-minute drill at the end of the half, Braxton gets beat and he spins out and makes that verse, I think, spins out of his tap. Unbelievable that he got out of there. And like you're saying, at USC, he would have spun out and threw that thing down the field. Yeah. He spun out and threw it away, and he worked their way down to a field goal, which I think, like, if you're looking for like a quarterback drive, that's the one, man. Yeah. The screen, the spin out, the pass, I think it was 1 minute and 1 second left, right after they missed the field goal. And he took them down there and he got 3 points. That was kind of the start of something we talked about a lot about why Justin Fields is not here. It's because the end of the half and winning games situations. Caleb, I like to see him in those situations. I like to see the team perform.
You know, it's really funny, real quick, Cap. And I'm glad that Olin said that because I didn't want to get hard on the offensive line and then be responsible for it. But I think it's the reason why, guys, I look at this team and everyone asks me questions. Well, what do you think? Well, yeah, you do have some really winnable games on your schedule going forward here in the immediate. But I don't think this team is good enough offensively right now to take anybody lightly. And it's the reason why when people ask me, where do you think they can be at the end of the year? I go, I don't give a shit right now. What I care about is where they're at this weekend. And I think that, like, I have brought back in all my expectations and all of my focus into a week-by-week approach to trying to get better on offense. I rely on this defense to keep me in the game. I'm comfortable and confident they'll keep me in the game. But I need to see, pretty significant improvement on a game-by-game, basis to start to feel really good about what this offense can do.
All right, we've got to do our special teams play of the game. Brought to you by Special Olympics Illinois. When voices tell us you can't or you won't, we simply say, I do. Special Olympics Illinois. So I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. It is Tory Taylor's 66-yard punt. And as our fine viewer Laz said, it looks like one of my wedge shots. That is not true. That's much more of an Olin Kreutz or Tom Waddle wedge shot. No doubt. No doubt. What did you think of Tory Taylor's performance? Because it was his best game to date for sure.
I never thought I would be flexing with a punter after his punt, but when he started flexing, when he hit that punt, it was something, man. I mean, but I had the pleasure of going to Iowa last year, Iowa versus Illinois, and I was seeing the stands amazed by the way this guy kicked the ball. So I can't say I was shocked. I had watched him, play football before, but those are critical punts he had. I think he had 3 or 4 down inside the 10. I mean, it was a great game. Like it was a night, guys. We talked about it last week with the O-line and everything, and just a team. Like, you can't see what Ryan Posey's plan was. It was a night when you could see the plan. right? They won because of why would you like, I'm a guy, gosh, you take a punter instead of an O-lineman in the 4th round, right? Like, why would the hell would you do that? Well, I'm sitting on my couch and thinking, well, maybe here's why, right? I mean, it got to be way more than once, obviously, but here's why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give him his flowers. He was fabulous, and that's what you expect, with no disrespect meant to the rookie, the 27-year-old rookie. But when you draft a punter in the 4th round, and maybe I'm just jealous because I wasn't drafted at all, but that's kind of what you expect. Like, again, I'm just going to be, consistent. And again, I acknowledge he was fabulous. I still don't believe you use a 4th round pick on a punter when you're still trying to figure out who you are and trying to fill out your roster. I said it at the time. And just to be consistent here, and I'm not trying to
call it a pick of arrogance, Olin.
I did, but
he's right.
I didn't mean it as a personal shot at Ryan or to Ian Cunningham that you are arrogant. What my point was that that's a move made by a group that feels like their roster is pretty damn complete. And that this is a luxury for us that we can actually use a 4th round pick on a punter, albeit maybe the greatest punter that we'll see since Ray Guy. But I just thought at the time, and this was me being overly concerned about the interior of their offensive line. I just thought until we completely are comfortable with who we have with our front 5, maybe we should save that pick for a front 5 guy. But like, with that said, there's no question Torrey Taylor was outstanding on Sunday and played a huge role in their win.
Yeah, and I guess the only reason you would do that is you must think he's going to be a Hall of Fame punter. That's the only reason you take one in the 4th round.
Wani took a punter in the 2nd.
I'm not going after Wani. I'm sorry, I can't.
He took Todd Sauerbrunn in the 2nd round, and he showed up to camp. No lie. This is total true.
I was on the team. I was on the team.
Yeah, you were on the team. He showed up.
Sauerbrunn was a head case now.
And his license plate was hang time.
Yeah,
and the veterans just about destroyed him.
And prior to that, one of my best friends on the team was Chris Gardocki. We used the 3rd round pick on him a couple of years after I was in the league and on the team. So we have a long history of spending high draft currency on kickers. We just do. I mean, that's who we are.
Now Buffalo took in the 5th round, a few picks later, they took the Georgia center. So you can just go through there and say, okay, I think the Lions took Manu Giovanni. The Lions keep building their offensive line, right? I mean, they take an offensive lineman in the 4th round. So,
and they've got the best offensive line. Maybe
all I'm saying, if you're good with the punter, Cap, stop talking about the offensive line in the morning. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
If you're cheering on the punter and the receiver, stop talking bad about the big guys up front.
I have a sponsored segment that I have to pick special teams player of the game.
But you were cheering them on, the punter, and you were happy with the picks. You're a big wide receiver punter guy.
So I would have taken, if I could go back and do the draft again, I would take, looking at what I got now, I would take Olufashanu at 9. Because 7 offensive linemen, I was telling this to Tommy the other day, 7 offensive linemen went after Roma Dunze, or you love Roma Dunze, good football player, take him and then take the Carolina 2nd round pick and trade your way back into the 1st round and get yourself another lineman.
Yeah. Well, it's just skipping linemen for years now, right? So it's a problem on the team, and I'm sure they knew that this position was, they got to be watching camp, right? They got to be watching preseason games. They know. So maybe they're going to plan to build it in a year or two. Who knows?
Boy, when you have veteran players like they acquired, like Keenan Allen in the final year of his deal, it looks to me like they're trying to think they can win.
Well, and look, like I think that, you can maybe live on that edge if, in fact, you have a veteran quarterback. But when you're trying to develop the 1st pick of the draft, not just a rookie quarterback, but the 1st pick of the draft, that was the only concern I had. It's the only reason why I critiqued the pick, with using it on a punter is that I just didn't think that they were finished molding that offensive line that was oh so important in front of a rookie quarterback. Again, it's not a shot at Torrey Taylor. Torrey Taylor may end up being the greatest punter in the history of the National Football League. I was just more concerned about the development of your rookie quarterback than I was your ability to perform great on special teams.
You know, the thing, though, we talked about the plan, and you saw on that touchdown run with the 3 receivers on the field and Cole Kmet, and they just hit Cole Kmet. That was another nice throw, the layer. They ran like a play pass power, pulled the guard, and he layered that ball over the linebacker, Cole Kmet, which is a really nice pass, right? And the next play was a touchdown, that 36-yard touchdown by Swift. You could see when they line up, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze, and Cole Kmet, they get a light box. By that I mean you have enough blockers for the defenders playing the run. And they lined up with only 6 in the box, which you don't see a lot of times. But if you're so scared of receivers, you're going to play coverage, right? So again, you know, I know not a great defense, or whatever, but for one night, for one day, you see what Ryan Poles is planning on. A good receiver can help the offensive line by taking defenders out of the box. But
we'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back. A lot more to do. We got to preview the Panthers game. We got to give out players of the game. I picked 2 this week. So we'll be right back on Feldco.
I guess we don't get to pick, me and Tom.
Right.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. 4 Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. Join the Illinois Tollway at Contracting with Government, a roadmap for business opportunities. Drive your business forward with the Illinois Tollway. All right, time for our drive of the game, the Chevy drive of the game. Olin had picked one earlier. The one that I had picked was the 12-play, 74-yard drive, took 6:13 off the clock. Caleb Williams to DJ Moore, a 9-yard touchdown pass that gave the Bears a much-needed 7 points. And that leads us right into our Apt Electronics players of the game. DeAndre Swift and Jaquan Brisker. For Swift, 16 carries, 93 yards rushing, 7 catches, 72 yards receiving. First Bears running back to go 70-plus and 70-plus since Jeremy Langford in 2015. And then Jaquan Brisker, 8 tackles, 4 solos, a sack, and a game-clinching interception at the end of Matthew Stafford. OG, your thoughts on what you saw from Brisker this week? Because he was, I thought, a force out there.
Yeah, he played really good football this week. I mean, I know there were a lot of holes in the zone defense going down to that inside the 20. And, you know, Stafford's a good quarterback, and McVay's a great offensive coordinator, and they were finding holes in that defense. But once they got inside that red zone, that defense really stiffened up. I think a lot of that is, like we talk about in the red zone, is players, not plays, and they don't have any of their players to make plays. So Coach Eberflus dialed up some nice blitzes, like when he brought Brisker off the edge and the running back couldn't get back to him because Billings had beat the center so bad, and he ate up the running back too. But Brisker, always, man, love his energy on the field. Think he plays a great game. I think the secondary is a really elite unit, to be honest, when you watch them play football. And Brisker is fun to watch, hard hitting. I know that Jalen Johnson had the guy's legs, but came down, put a hit on that guy. The interception, the sack. He always brings energy. I don't even know what he's doing with that fly thing, but I love it whenever you're trying to irritate people. So he plays a good game. Like a long line of really good safeties that put on a Bears uniform. He's a fun football player to watch.
I think it's a really good point that Olin makes too about, like, I think Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are fabulous players all over the field. but they give that Rams offense such an edge in the red zone. Like you watch Cooper Kupp, he runs arrow routes and they use motion. I don't believe there's another team in the National Football League that uses more motion than Sean McVay. And my hope is at some point that Caleb is comfortable enough that they start incorporating more motion, because I think for receivers and quarterbacks, it really simplifies things and it confuses defenses. But I think that it's such a great point, knowing that Nakua and that Kupp weren't there. I thought Eberflus got really aggressive in the red zone, and I thought it helped stifle what they were trying to do. And to Swift, you got to give him his credit. Like I said before, he had 114 total combined yards in the first 3 games. He had 165 in this game. I thought he ran with a lot more purpose. I thought Olin said something last week that really stuck with me. He said, look, you got to tell backs, and Tom Thayer mentioned this as well when we talked to him, tell backs, is this where we want to go? And right now, because we're struggling, you don't have the discretion to go somewhere else. You go right here and you take it and you hit it. And it just looked like DeAndre ran with a little bit more purpose, with a little more discipline this week.
Those are our apt players of the game. For your favorite game day snacks, a new Whirlpool range is the perfect choice for best appliances for football season. Shop where I shop at ABT.com. Pleasing people since 1936. Punch in this promo code Kaplan 25. You spend $150 or more, they'll take $25 more off of your order.
I'll just say this, Cap, like as good as you are as a broadcaster and as wonderful as you are as a human being and a friend, you may be the best salesperson I've ever met. And I mean,
whenever you get that many compliments, Cap, something's coming down the pipe.
Olin, I mean that in a positive way.
No, he's amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Amen, brother. Tip of the cap.
Appreciate you guys. Olin, let me ask you why. We had a bunch of questions coming in here, and I asked you this one, I think via text. Why did the offensive line look better when the most talented offensive lineman, potentially, some believe at least, Tevin Jenkins, went out?
I think that the offense as a whole got going a little more. I don't want to put that all on Tevin Jenkins being out prior, moving to left guard. Nate Davis is a good right guard when he comes in and plays and does his job and he's there and he's present and he played pretty good there. I think the offense as a whole, Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen came coming back, made a big difference. Cap. He drew some pass interference to try to cover that guy one-on-one in the slot. You're going to have a problem, right? So I think. More than Tevin going out and Pryor in left guard, I think Keenan Allen being back, them being able to spread the field, put their best players on the field, put the Rams in a predicament where they got to put guys. Someone's got to be left one-on-one, right? So Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, or DJ Moore. Pick your poison, right? And like I told you, they lightens the box for the offensive line. They don't have to block as many guys. And Keenan Allen, a little better at blocking the edge and blocking in there than DeAndre Carter, right? Little bigger guy. You saw the one, I think he was blocking somebody. He was frustrated with himself because the guy Lake actually spun off and made the tackle on Swift. If he doesn't spin off, Swift has 80 more yards. But Keenan Allen, you saw the tackle was made 8 to 10 yards down the field, not 3 yards in the backfield. I know everybody wants to push that story. I think it was more Keenan Allen being back and then having all their weapons.
Sometimes it just works better, there's no great explanation. It's not like, oh, hell, we had to remove Tevin Jenkins to get our thing going. No, sometimes it just, it clicks and it's not connected and you can't connect those dots. I think, this may not be a popular statement. I think Nate Davis is a really talented guy. That doesn't mean that makes him a great guard. I think there's talent there that if for whatever reason, maybe it would take Olin standing next to him and threatening him. Or I
don't think you'd be impressed by that.
That's one word. I don't need that. I mean, encouraging him. But you tell me, Olin, the consistent performance is not there. I'm not trying to make excuses. But there's talent there. Talent that we all kind of look at in our own lives about different positions. Jesus, if I was 6'3" and 215 yards and ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, what the receiver I could be. That's not reality. That's not who I am. But I think there's talent there, and I just wish that the talent and all the other stuff would come together and intersect. Because I think if you had that, he'd be a really good player.
Yeah, you never know what's going on with him, but when you do watch him, you see why they gave him that $10 million a year, right? Which we talk about nowadays. The top guards in the league are making 20 plus, and the Rams were without Jonah Jackson, the left guard from the Lions. He makes 17 a year. So that's about where Nate Davis, with his talent, he's slotted. And when you watch him, like on that touchdown, the run block, he had a base block. By that I mean he was one of a rare guys on a play that was one-on-one, and it was like a tight shade on him, and it's a tough block. But you can see why they paid him that money. He can get pad under pad. He gets his hands inside. He rolls his hips through, and he stays right through that guy. And you can tell he's a good run blocker. Like when he was a run blocker with the Titans and he double teams, he does a nice job in there. He's got strength. He's got strength in his legs. You can tell. You can't move him around too much. So like you're saying, Tom, but why it hasn't worked here consistently, why they had to bench their highest paid offensive lineman in the building. You'd have to be in the building to know what kind of effort he's putting in every day, to know how much he's studying film, to know how much he's into winning. I will give him this. He did stay ready. You know what I mean? Like some guys get benched and they're completely done with you. They're completely done with the team. They're completely done with doing anything he was. And maybe that's some of the problem. You know what I mean? Like if I get benched, there's going to be a problem at Hallis home. So, you can't be comfortable with getting benched. But, Rod Marinelli told me one time, if you're going to, he said, Olin, you're going to become a coach? I said, yeah. He said, a coach's best friend is the bench. You send them there and they always come back better.
Good point. Let me ask you guys a question. I saw last week DeAndre Carter try to block Tyquan Lewis coming off the edge, 6'3", 267 versus 5'8", 1 whatever. And he took him, drove him back into Khalil Herbert at the 1 yard line and brought them both down. And DeAndre Carter's walking around like, what are we doing here? Well, we saw the same exact scenario basically in this game where Sean McVay tried to block Montez Sweat with a tight end who got driven all the way back. And then he had a rookie wide receiver come over and he didn't even want to get engaged. And then boom, the ball's out. Keep playing the ball game. Why do coaches try to block big, huge, angry men with littler guys?
It's you're selling the run, right? You have to make it look like the run. A lot of those plays worked for them that day, right? But Montez Sweat goes in there and makes a play. Now, who am I to question Sean McVay? I'll be honest with you. I watched the film, him versus Coach Eberflus. It was fun, man. Sean's concepts are unbelievable, as Tom said. Like you talk about Caleb Williams missing guys. Man, Stafford is even like there's some guy there wide. Like there was I think there was an arrow route on the first third down when they converted. The guy was wide open, Tutu Atwell, and he doesn't hit him. So Sean McVay gets guys open, the motions. That thing, like you would hope you have a quarterback older like that. He knows where Montez Sweat is. He knows that the tight end and Kobe Parkinson and the rookie wide receiver are on him. So you have a clock in your head and you don't hold the ball out up here like this to Montez Sweat's side, right? I'm sure that's what McVay is thinking. Like we're paying you almost $40 million a year. You have to know where their best rusher is. You have to know he's on a tight end and wide receiver. You have to have a clock in your head, and if he's not there, eat it.
Yeah, and listen, sometimes even the best design play doesn't work. The other guy beats you. I mean, that guy, Montez makes $20+ million a year. Was it a sound concept? I don't know if the concept is as bad as the execution. There were remember the play. What was it? Was it against the Colts where I heard people being upset with why in the world would you leave Cole Kmet one-on-one with Latu from, I think it was with the Colts. And the reason is because the play is designed so that Cole has inside double team help by Mercedes Lewis. And the one thing you ask Cole not to do is get beat to the outside. Like sometimes it's the play design may not be the most sound play design, but if in fact you execute it properly, it's got a chance to work. And as Olin just said, like with Matthew Stafford, like even a guy who's been in the league for 15 years is maybe it's just a matter of being able to feel the rush. Maybe it was a guy was a step away. not everything's going to be perfect, you know? I mean, you just
you can't fake your run. You can't fake the run and not have tight ends block defensive ends, right? You can't make it look that way. So you're taking your play action passes out. And look, Matthew Stafford's cap number is 46.1 million cap. He has some responsibility here. You know what I mean? Like, you may be the highest paid in the whole building. Like, you have to know Montez Sweat is one-on-one with now a tight end. They gave pretty good money to the tight end. Like, people just say tight end. I think Kobe Parkinson is 6'7", like 270. Like, he's not this like 150-pound tight end. Like, he's a big guy too. So, and if you count there, I think Stafford had like 3 or 4 seconds. But the ball's got to come out. You can't fumble that. And I know as well as anybody, you're trying to get that run fake, and if you keep putting your tackles out there, it won't look like run to the linebackers.
And by the way, Olin, this narrative out there that the players were bigger now than back in the day.
Did you tell Tom? Did you tell Tom what I sent you?
He said
I sent him Megatron sending by DK Metcalf.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And he's making him look small. And I said, Cap.
Monster and Megatron looks like Jabbar next to him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Megatron was a monster, man. Megatron was a monster.
He was a phenomenal.
You know,
player.
he came, and by the way, he came out of Georgia Tech, where I think that they didn't throw it very frequently either.
They were a triple option, right?
Yeah, they were running option too.
Guarantee he would have portaled. Guarantee he would. Nowadays, he would have portaled. He'd be out of there so fast.
Georgia or Alabama.
Yes.
But you know what? Like, I give Detroit a lot of credit for taking a receiver from an option offense where they took him, because they realized how damn good he was.
I think they took him second.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy.
All right, let's take a look ahead at the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers game is our look ahead with Andy Dalton coming in. And it's brought to you by our great partners at the Illinois Tollway. Contracting with government, they have a roadmap for business opportunities for you. It is the Illinois Tollway. Click that QR code right there on your screen, and you could sign up for their great event coming up in early November. Andy Dalton, 539 yards, 5 TDs to 1 pick. He's got to be motivated, right, Tommy, coming in here, because the Bears probably, he doesn't feel treated him the right way. They yanked him out and then gave it to Justin, who Nagy said wasn't ready, and he never got back on the field.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that all sounds good. I don't know that Andy Dalton is walking around right now with a chip on his shoulder because the Bears did what you just described. I think Andy Dalton steps in as a veteran quarterback who has seen it all, has done it all, maybe not at, a Hall of Fame level, but he's had a pretty accomplished career. I think with Canales, directing things now, I think that he probably feels really comfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't spent a lot of time looking at Carolina just yet, because I spent more time looking at the Bears and the Rams today. But I guess the one thing I would say is a couple of things I would say. It's a game you should win. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but it's a game you should win because you're a more talented team and they're coming to your place. Don't take them lightly because you have a veteran quarterback and a creative offensive mind. And they're looking to kind of establish themselves and prove themselves. So I just don't think this Bears team is as accomplished right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that you could take anyone lightly. So my guess is they will be prepared to play. But certainly this is not a layup. There are no layups right now for this team.
OG?
Yeah, the first thing I did was I was so worried about this game because I was thinking about Derek Brown, right? The monster nose guard in the middle for the Panthers. And I saw he was on IR, and I said, man, thank goodness. I remember when I played, Tom, you would always talk like, can't wait to face that guy. I want to face the best guys in the league. And if they're out, I was so happy. Yeah. But Derek Brown's
that's the biggest piece of, that's such crap. I was always hoping that like Darryl Green from Washington or Albert Lewis from Kansas City. I was hoping they had food poisoning on Sunday. That nonsense that I want to beat the best to be the best. No, I want to play the least, the path of least resistance on every Sunday. I mean, That sounds great, but no, I want to play a guy who's not as talented as the guy that's on the depth chart ahead of me.
I'm telling you, man, Derek Brown is an absolute game wrecker in the sense of the first guy the Bears face this year, T'Vondre Sweat from the Titans. So him being out helps, right? Cap, they have a very good offensive line now. They've got a lot of money and a lot of assets in an offensive line. Just a little, if anything, talk about that defense, you have to worry about them stopping the run a little bit. Matthew Stafford is finding holes in the zone. He does have his weapons. So a challenge for this defense and Coach Eberflus, right? Going to this game from what we just saw this past week, our defense is so good. But if you're worried about anything, you're worried about, okay, there's been a little leaky against the run, especially when that backup defensive line comes in. And then, on film now, Sean McVay showed you where to go in the zones with that football. So kind of coming off of this like perfect storm of you just played Sean McVay. He found the holes in your defense. He found a way to run the ball. Now can the Panthers put it in the end zone? As far as defensively for the Panthers, they have a ton of injuries, man. And I think Shaq Thompson is out too. They just found out he tore his Achilles. So we've been waiting for the offense to get right. Hopefully they can continue the momentum that they had at the end of this game. It wasn't a great performance, but it was a better performance.
By the way, Calvin Johnson led the ACC in yards 2 straight years and catches and TDs in his final season. 76 catches for 1,202 yards and 15 scores left after his junior year to join the Lions.
Which is crazy because, again, as Olin said, he's playing in an option offense. Can you imagine if you put him in the air raid offense?
Oh, my goodness.
Crazy.
Olin, remember
didn't he play for no, it wasn't him. Was that George O'Leary or no? Was that the guy who went to Notre Dame and they found out he didn't have a degree or something?
That
could have he played for? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll check that out. Yeah, he was a hell of a player. I remember Calvin Johnson remember they changed the rule of what a catch is in the game against you guys.
We thought it was a catch. We were on the sideline like they said that, and we were all like, that was a catch.
Yeah.
We'll take the win, but that was a catch.
And then after they said it was incomplete, I think they ran the same exact play the next 2 times, and I think it might have been Peanut knocked it away.
Yeah, Peanut used to battle with him, man. That guy, that was a tough matchup.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine? You lived it. But like the matchups that between Peanut and Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson, like Charles was entrusted with having to maybe take on one of the most difficult assignments week in and week out in that division, and the way he would answer the bell consistently was just incredible.
By the way, Chan Gailey was his college coach.
Okay, on critical downs too. You know what I mean? Like just like play after play, man. It was something.
Yeah.
All right, let's make our picks. Olin gives us his keys. He saves his picks for later on in the week. OG, your 2 keys to a Bears victory.
Well, I kind of talked about it, right? I talked about the stopping the run game there at Soldier Field. The Rams did pretty good running the ball. If you enjoy the run game, you go get the All 22 on NFL.com and watch the way Sean McVay, like Tom talked about, was motion receivers and running like lead ISO with receivers on Gordon. He's so fun to watch his designs. The guy can coach football, but stopping that run, right? Because the Rams moved up and down the field pretty easily, right? Pretty easily with because if you give them the run, now I can play action pass and attack those holes in the zone. And then on offense, keeping Caleb clean. The offensive line has, one good thing about the NFL season, it's a long season, right? You can work on what you're bad at, get in the weight room, get healthy, work on your punching, work on your hands, work on hitting your targets, and really take, like, the offensive line, get together and say, man, put the film on and say, we got to get better up front at keeping our quarterback clean so they can perform better.
Tommy?
I agree with all that. I think you got to play a clean game. I think that, one of the hallmarks of winning teams is that they take care of the football, and I think that's the case. I think this is a game the Bears will win. I just think that they're a better team across the board. Again, I don't think that this Bears team at the moment is capable of blowing anybody out, and I wouldn't take anybody for granted. What I'm I do expect them to win, but what I'm most focused on is seeing improvement, incremental improvement, significant improvement. They made some adjustments, and I thought that they ran the ball effectively. Now I need to see the quarterback play smart, but also mix in some downfield shot plays. Like if you look at the list of 20-plus yard plays, the Bears are dead last. Big plays, this Bears offense is dead last. So I'm not asking him to be risky, but I'm asking him to be judicious with how he is choosing to move the ball down the field. So I think they win this game. I would say, again, by 5, 6, 7 points. But most importantly to me is I want to see the improvement from the offense.
I have the Bears 27-17. I do think they win the football game. I'll be surprised if they don't win the game. But as you guys have astutely said, you take anybody lightly when you're this Bears team, and you could wake up on Monday and go, how in the F did we lose to them?
Yeah. Well, and I think, guys, it's just really important for them. Like, look, I'm not thinking about postseason play. I'm looking at this team now differently. I'm looking at them week to week, and I want to watch them closely make offensive improvement. But if, in fact, you are looking with a wide-angle lens, this is haymaking time. You can't get to the second half of the season and then be trying to play catch-up because you've lost a couple of these winnable games, because the competition down the road is going to be significantly harder.
OG, who do you play this week, buddy?
We play at Montini. They're a tough matchup. They got a good quarterback, good defense. You can tell on film they got a really good coaching staff. So, we got a tough game in front of us. It'll be fun.
Tommy, Boston College, they got a game?
I'm sure they do. I don't know exactly who they're playing. I'm hoping that their quarterback comes back. I think they just snuck by Western Kentucky. I'll say this, though. Bill O'Brien has restored kind of the pride in the football program. We've never been, since the Flutie years, we've never been a powerhouse. I don't think anyone really truly fears us on a week in and week out basis, but the arrow's pointed up. But that's a long answer to tell you that I have no idea who the F they're playing.
How about when Eberflus called that God's play? I love that, man. Yeah. He called Power O. Yeah. Old school Power O, Cap. I'm going to teach you how to draw it on a grease board if you want to talk about football. You have to know how to draw a gap play called Power O. Tony Wise, everyone loves it. It is God's play, especially when you got the backup center Kramer from Illinois, played at Illinois, running fullback.
By the way, I do have to ask you guys one strategic question, because I was critical of Eberflus. So it's about 1:10 to go.
Take the penalty. Take the penalty. You don't need to call a timeout to punt.
So Olin, Caleb slides down 2 yards short. It's 4th down. You have all 3 timeouts. They take a timeout, the Bears. Take a timeout. Why would you not you got a kicker that can kick it to freaking Racine. Why would you not?
Now, I don't remember this. Did they let the clock run all the way down and then take the timeout? Or
they let it run down to 1 second and then took a timeout. Okay. Why not take the delay? What if a fluke happens
and they score?
And Matthew Stafford hits a 90-yard pass for
which wouldn't be a fluke for Stafford. That would not be a fluke.
Now, all of a sudden, you would be crying. You need that timeout.
I didn't even notice that, and you're right, Cap. That is not, and that's 2 weeks in a row now. It's 2 weeks in a row. You're a little, maybe he's got a. I don't know. He's so good at calling plays, but little attention to detail. You got to make sure that's there, because as the season goes on, your focus has got to be critical.
Especially when your team's margin of error is about this big.
Correct.
So it may not have bit you in the ass this week, but there's a good chance that if you get to the second half of the season and you're playing more talented teams, those types of mistakes will be magnified. It's a great point, Cap, and it's something that I don't believe when you and Jonathan talked to him this week that the answer he gave you made sense, or it was not a good answer.
No.
What was his answer, Cap?
His answer was, we were at the 45-yard line, and that is the sweet spot for Torrey Taylor, so we wanted to keep him right there. So we didn't want to take the 5-yard penalty. I'm like, this dude kicks at 66 yards in the air. What are you talking about, Coach?
Well, I guess maybe he's saying that's where he likes to kill it, inside the 10-yard line, maybe. Maybe that's where he does his like. I mean, I don't know how he does that, but
His
I'll
Scotty
tell you this:
stuff.
if you're gonna spend a 4th round pick on a punter, that dude better be able to make that thing go back like this from anywhere on the field.
No question about it. Hey, guys, have a great week. Appreciate you greatly. Yeah, that's it.
old
All
school
right.
ball players, man. We don't like talking about punters. You know what I mean? Like, but it is 2024 and everything's okay nowadays.
That's it. Well, we don't want to go there because we get started, man. I may get myself in a lot of trouble. You guys have a great week, and
Be
we'll
well,
talk to you.
fellas.
Olin,
Thanks,
you will
guys,
not be
man.
with us next week. We have Alex Brown in for Olin. Tommy
It's a
and
good
I
replacement, AB.
AB will all be at Hooters by O'Hare on Higgins Road. Call Hooters. Get a reservation. Should be a lot of fun. For Tommy, for Olin, I'm Cap. Take that.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Football Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. 4 Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. Join the Illinois Tollway at Contracting with Government, a roadmap for business opportunities. Drive your business forward with the Illinois Tollway.
Some days, you've got big things to care about. Like that. And that. Luckily, the Whirlpool Smart Range automatically updates itself with features like Air Fry. So you can worry less about keeping up with the latest tech and care more about keeping up with the latest trends. Say cheese. Everyday care, Whirlpool. To see the full line of Whirlpool appliances, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936.